Welcome to the Lucha Lounge. I'm your host, Steve DeMarco. I hope everybody's enjoying their Sunday fun day, or maybe Monday's your fun day, or whatever day of the week that you're catching this, which I greatly appreciate. Whether it's in video format, which is by subscribing to my YouTube channel, or in audio format, which you can get by subscribing to the Offshoots Network on a variety of platforms, be it Google Play or iTunes or Stitcher Radio or Beyond Pod or Satchel or wherever you get your podcast. They usually drop on Monday. Video usually drops on Sunday, and this time it's actually coming out a little bit earlier than the last couple of videos. I won't keep this intro too long because it's actually a pretty jam-packed show. I had a lot of fun recording that episode, and I really enjoyed having my guest on the show. Before I get into that, or this week's episode, little business. I want to thank everyone who went to Reality Wrestling's BCW show, which took place last night. I'm recording this Saturday, so yeah, to get this out early Sunday in video format, and yeah, and try to get back on track with putting it out early on Sundays as opposed to late on Sundays or by the time it uploads. Now next week, Reality Wrestling returns to its home, the World Gym Arena, for another set of television tapings. So go to realitywrestling.com for more details, whether it be about that show or past episodes that have aired, or you know, information on Christmas Chaos 11, which will come out second week of December, and will probably going to be a huge show because it's 10 years in the making. So, and the first Christmas Chaos at the new or you know, our current home. So yeah. I don't know for sure who my guest will be next week. I have I've spoken to a few people, so we'll see how the schedule shakes out. Hopefully going to have a few more conversations in the can, so it makes it a little easier and I can have some guests. Or if I don't, then I'll probably do another type of how my week's been, or stream of consciousness, or what's really going on, or a whole slew of topics that are in my head. Or if people want to pitch a potential topic, maybe I'll use that and film or record an episode specific to that topic, whatever the topic might be. Now this week, my guest is one of the voices of reality wrestling, so to speak. He's not just a backstage interviewer, he's also does some ring announcing at times. You know, he's got some experience doing color commentary, and he's actually was part of NXT during its infancy when it was being transitioned from FCW to NXT. And my guest is Chris Russo. Again, I've been, you know, he started his career in Virginia. We get into that. He parlayed that into getting into Florida and spending some time there, and then eventually he was able to get secure a position at NXT or FCW, and then when it turned to NXT. And we talk about all of that. We talk about you know, some of the legends and some of the icons within our industry that he's learned under, whether it be Jim Ross or Dusty Rhodes, or you know, Triple H, or Alpha, or you know, Booker T now, or Bruce Pritchard, or Dr. Tom Pritchard. Just a whole slew of people that he's come across and ran into, and he's got some great advice and some advice that he's been given over his career, and it was a real good time, man. I really enjoyed getting to know him a little bit better, because that's really what it's about, and really how we all kind of, our paths intertwined because of this wonderful industry called wrestling. And you know, I'm glad he's a brother in this industry, and a lot of fun sitting down with him, a good talk, and definitely will look forward to having him on the show in the future. But for now, as I always like to end, stay cool, stay sexy, stay classy, but you'll be all of those if you sit back, relax, and enjoy my sit-down conversation with the one and only Chris Russo. Until the next time, later! Mr. Russo.
Mr. DeMarco.
Oh my God, the voice, one of the voices. The reality of wrestling. Many voices.
Yeah.
Many voices.
Yeah, there are many. There's no Joey Styles of reality wrestling.
No one man does it all.
No.
It's a team effort.
Right.
But everyone has their start. Everyone started out as a fan or kind of somehow stumbled into this business industry, lifestyle, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So for you, what was your first encounter with it?
I think from our generation, it was definitely the Attitude Era. I mean, I can remember seeing Razor Ramon or Diesel, I think, way back, but I mean, I never really watched that much. And then flipping channels one day in 4th grade, and I see Hulk Hogan, NWO on TV, and I go, what is this?
Yeah.
I mean, to that point, I wasn't really engrossed with, but yeah, from 10 years old on, I just, every Monday, I was a WCW fanboy. I didn't even know what the WWF was. Honest to goodness. Like, I just thought, I never knew, like, oh, there's another one, or all I knew was WCW because it was on TNT every Monday night.
Right.
And so for the first, like, 6-7 months, it was just that.
Okay.
And it was just, again, random channel surfing, and here's this thing called Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
But yeah, from 10 years old on, just watching it, just enthralled with it. I mean, all those crazy characters and storylines that everyone ended up being, well, I don't know what an elementary school water cooler, like a recess, like out of recess.
I probably recess is when the gossip.
Yeah.
Because you're allowed to talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That was our water cooler stuff. Oh my gosh, did you see what happened with The Rock? He brought out a beer truck and just started spraying. Oh my gosh, did you see the Corvette getting full of cement? Like, all that stuff. So, I mean, that was where, like, a lot of people just started also getting turned on to wrestling as well. 4th, 5th grade. NWO Wolfpack. Oh my gosh, I was the biggest red and black fan at the time when that started. Yeah. But it just kind of blossomed from there. So I'd always been a fan, but I was never one of those that was like, I'm too old for it, or this is too silly or stupid. I never grew out of it. A lot of my friends did, but I always kept an eye to it all through high school. Okay. Except there that period of time where Triple H was at the top, like with Evolution, very beginning. It's like, man, screw this guy.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't watch him just continuously win. So I actually took like a 6-month sabbatical. Okay. I was like, I have got to take a break from this because I was a mark. I got so upset at him for just continuously winning and winning and winning.
Right.
I was like, forget it. But otherwise, I've been a fan pretty much for the last almost 10, 12 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So, what prompted you to want to get into...
Wait, my math's terrible. 18 years. God, what? 10, 28, 29, 9, 20 years. Wow. What are we doing, man? We've been here for way too long. I was 20 to 10. I'm like, no, 20 years. 20 years. Holy Toledo.
So what made you want to get into the industry?
Radio. In college, I worked for Clear Channel. I was an on-air guy on the weekends. And in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia, where I went to school, they had little wrestling promotions always coming through town, and one of them, Marvin Ward, he was always trying to start something. I later found out. Always came in and disappeared, and he came back, but he was the first promoter that I ever worked with. He'd always come into the Shenandoah Valley because that's where he was from. Right. And he'd bring a couple of names here and there for these shows, and they said, hey, look, we're looking for a ring announcer, somebody. They were advertising, they were buying ads from us, you know, radio space, and they said, hey, does anyone want to do it? I said, heck yeah, I'm a huge wrestling fan, I'd love to do it. So Marvin Ward, if you're watching, thank you for breaking me into the business, because he was the first promoter that gave me any sort of opportunity to do ring announcing, whatever the case may be. I remember getting my first $20 from a promoter. I was like, wow, this is awesome. Yeah. And it just kind of blossomed from there. So that was kind of my first break-in period, was in Virginia during college. Okay. And then I moved to Florida, to Orlando, for my graduate program because I'm way too smart for my own good. So I was like, more school is wonderful. Yeah. And then it was there where I got connected with someone in Orlando that was a classmate of my ex-girlfriend's. Okay. I said, hey, I am a referee. Your girlfriend told me that you love wrestling. I work for Off of the Wild Samoan. Would you be interested, in getting an introduction? Man, man, that would be great. Like, I had no aspirations when I moved to Florida of continuing to do it. Okay, I did it. But then, again, it kept calling. Hey, you know, we want, perfect, met Afa. What, I mean, holy cow, what a treat. It's like having an opportunity to meet Mickey Mantle, right? Or some Hall of Fame or some sports legend, and you're in awe, and this guy's giving you the time of the day. Well, that's kind of what that was. He met me. He said, "Hey, we could really use a ring announcer. You're coming in at the right time, right place, right time." And he gave me my first, you know, my big real first break. In Orlando for a number of years. And
so how long did you work with Afa until NXT? Because you were with NXT for a bit. So how did you get the How did
I get the Iggy?
The
Iggy, brother, the office. It was just right place at the right time. At that time, Johnny Ace was still talent relations, and he and Afa are very close. And Afa's always been one that promotes and pushes talent that he has for TV tapings and tryouts and things of that nature. So I've been with Afa for about like maybe 7 or 8 months. And they were coming into town into Orlando, and I said, you know, as crazy might be, Pops, as we affectionately call Afa, Pops, you know, there's some opportunity just for me to kind of peek in at TV, and if there's any opportunity, I'd love to take it. And he made a couple phone calls, and there it was at TV in Orlando for Raw, and met with John, and let's bring you down to Tampa to the FCW facility, which is where they were before Orlando and the PC. So let's bring you down to Tampa, and let's see what you got. Gave me a tryout, 2 tryouts actually over a period of 3 or 4 months, but then it took a year. It took a year. I was told by Mr. Ty Bailey, who was the guy that is now the equivalent of King and Seaman, who said, you know, keep calling me, keep bugging me, call me out every week, see what's happening. It's wrestling. You know it. I'm sure a lot of you guys know it. It's just you kind of have to hurry up and wait your turn. And it took a whole year from my last tryout to getting, you know, finally getting hired. So, long story short, it was just right places at the right times. And, you know, that sometimes that's what it takes, you know. And I feel, and on one hand, I think it's important to note because there are so many people out there that bust their butts. And they work so hard for years and years and years, and hoping that they get an opportunity. A lot of them don't. And then here I am, some punk kid, just in, honestly, for the equivalent of a cup of coffee. Get a great opportunity. Like, I don't think I really appreciated it that much when it happened, because, you know, you're on cloud 9. I just think the moral of the story is keep working hard, keep pursuing the dream. I just don't ever take it for granted now, right? That's something like that happened to a young, stupid, dumb 24-year-old you know, in business.
So you were there, we were talking a little bit before we started recording that you were there basically like the first NXT show, like when it was making its transition. So what was it like, I mean, I guess from a locker room standpoint, because you're in essence, you know, part of that crew. So what was it like for the locker room as a whole, this transition period from, I guess, FCW to NXT?
Well, we had no idea what the heck was happening. All I remember is one day Dusty came in and he said, "Listen, baby, we got this request from Triple H that we need to start doing some sort of tapings in the back, private matches with commentators and wrestlers to see how they would look for this new thing we're trying to do." We had no idea what this was. So all of a sudden, just randomly during a training day, there was like 3 or 4 matches put together. They're wrestling. It's being recorded in the FCW arena. And then like a month later or so, you know, we get the news, hey, look, there's going to be some taping that we're going to be doing at this place called Full Sail University. We're just testing it out. It's just a pilot. You know, luckily for me in the role that I was in, I also spent a lot of time in the creative department, not necessarily, you know, in many different roles, let's just put it that way. One of them was sitting in on those meetings, those production meetings, and you see, you know, the run sheet and everything. I mean, this was like a big to-do, very hush-hush, only the Full Sail students knew about it, try to keep it on the DL, but just to see what this crazy little soundstage ECW arena type of thing would be. it ran January of 2012, and a few months later, here we are starting this thing, this reboot of NXT.
Right, right. You mentioned being in the creative room, so to speak.
Yeah.
For those who are never part of those meetings, what is it like to be
God.
in those, you know, there's a brain trust like...
So you imagine sitting in a room, well, the production meetings that we had for NXT, so Paul, Triple H was there always, every time he always flew in for every NXT taping. But you have all the producers, all the agents, aka the producers, so Doc Pritchard, Norman Smiley, Joey Mercury, Terry Taylor, you know, those guys, they were all sitting in there. Then you have a couple, really it was just one writer from NXT, which was Ray, we call him Ray Ward. I think he's now the SmackDown head writer, but the NXT was his baby. And, oh man, Hayes was in there, Michael Hayes, just dressed to the nines like he always is, right? Color coordinated with the gator shoes. So it was that, and then myself, a couple of the other announcers, we're just listening, and of course everyone else is throwing out and Dusty. Oh my gosh, can't forget Dusty, the largest personality of all. And so they're all just going around in the room, just kind of, you know, this is what the NXT this is what Ray put together, this is what was said, this is what the run looks like, and we'll go. Now, compared to what you might hear or read on the dirt sheets about Raw and SmackDown, they're furiously retyping and retyping and retyping 10 minutes before the show starts. It was much more laid back, and Triple H really did that on purpose. Like, more wrestling look, you know, like this is an opportunity to make mistakes. This is an opportunity we're all learning. It was definitely a lot more laid back than what you would have seen on the road for those Monday and Tuesday tapings. So, how long were you at NXT before you decided to? What made you want to move to Houston, or what caused you to move to Houston? So, at the time, you know, that was when. So when I started, Johnny Ace was still there, and then about 5 months in or so, that's when he got, you know, he moved aside, and Triple H took over, and Canyon Seaman got brought in as well, and so I think what it came down to is just, you know, flavor of the month, right? I was Johnny's guy, a lot of us were Johnny's guys, and Triple H and Canyon one of their guys. So it just, you know, I was never officially given a reason. I don't know exactly, but, you know, just wish you the best in your future endeavors. Just a different flavor of the month at that point. So from there, I stayed in Florida for a few more years because I really loved Florida. Moved down to Fort Myers, Naples, Southwest Florida. Worked down there, but I also continued to commute back to Offa's for shows. And then my job moved me here to Houston about a year ago. And like the first thing I said to myself is, I'm gonna give myself a couple of months to get settled, but I knew exactly where I was gonna go as soon as I was done here, and, you know, got myself all situated. And I'm gonna go I'm gonna go directly to Booker, and I'm gonna go work for another Hall of Famer, because you got to go directly to the best. You know, I'm not gonna dilly dally anywhere else. So that was the game plan as soon as I knew that I would be moving to Houston.
Had you worked much with Booker prior, or prior to coming
the only time that I ever had any interaction with Booker was my second TV taping that I went to before my second tryout in Orlando. I go into catering, and at that time, being from a fraternity, my sort of little gimmick that I always enjoyed bow ties. Bow ties are my thing. Love it. And I don't think Otunga had started that trend thing yet. And I'm in catering, and I'm in my bow tie, my suit and everything, and Booker walks in, and, you know, very respectfully, I get up and say, "Hi Booker, I'm Chris." He goes, "Hey kid, that's a nice bow tie." And that was it. And he walked away, I was like, cool. Maybe he might remember that further down. I don't think so. But that was my one time ever interacting with him. But I knew that Booker was in Houston. I knew that Booker had something going in Houston. And I knew that for me to work with one Hall of Famer for so many years, why am I going to go work there's an opportunity to work with another Hall of Famer, why not?
Yeah.
And the way that Booker runs this whole promotion here, Reality of Wrestling, from the training sessions to the show, it is, I mean, it's a spitting image of what I was used to in Orlando. It's very old school. Like, he runs that promotion so well. Maybe I should plug right now that if you are interested in becoming a professional wrestler, you check out Reality of Wrestling. If not, check us out, CW39 in Houston, or on our YouTube page every Sunday. Plug over for now, right? But I just knew you got to work with the best, and so that's, and again, good timing. There was an opportunity there, right, for backstage announcing and occasional ring announcing. So I'm happy. You know, I'm happy that I found a good niche over here. Yeah, yeah. So a little known fact is that you're actually a lot taller than you appear.
Was that a directive, or I mean, had someone told you that previously, like to always try to be equal to the talent? Because sometimes you have to position yourself in such a way so that you don't appear as tall as you are.
So I always try to conduct myself in as professional of a manner as possible.
Right.
I had heard stories about, you know, announcers, you know, trying to be nice and short, make the wrestler look taller, as you should.
Right.
To me, I'm like, look, that's just common practice to do that. It's not about me.
Right.
I don't want to make the wrestler look shorter. I want to make the superstar look incredibly overpowering and towering and bigger than life. And so, yeah, I mean, to me, it's just, I'm typically a little bit taller than many of the guys, and even if he's a little bit taller, I'm still going to, I want them to look good. So for me, it's just something that I had always instinctively done because I had heard about it, and no one gave me any grief about it. So I think I was doing something all right. So yeah, in those interviews that you guys see, I think I've seen a couple of memes for Tom Phillips, because Tom is a big guy as well, and here he is, you know, doing a split to get down below Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. You know, so
and to look like kind of even smaller than to a large.
I don't know how they can make him like run away or do anything, because if you just touch him, he's gonna fall over because it's not very stable. But yeah, so it's just, you pick little things up. You pick little things up from commentary. You've got Dusty talking to you in the earpiece. You got your producer in your ear. You know, you got people talking. You learn things. You get feedback from Jim Ross, from Michael Cole. Man, working with Jim Ross, holy crap! You want? I mean, people ask me like, what is your favorite moments or moments? And there's two of them. Number one, working with Dusty, any moment. Number two, working the commentary with Jim Ross. Like, you know, for a commentator, that's the whole, you know. Our generation, that was the voice of WWE. That was the voice of professional wrestling, and especially for me in my role, I mean, there's no better person to learn things from. So you just pick up things along the way, and you want to take it wherever you go to try and make the product even better. So whatever I can do to make the row even better than what it is.
So you mentioned working with two iconic personalities in Jim Ross and Dusty. I mean, probably every day was a memorable day, but are there any like lessons that they taught you early on that stick with you to this day? Anything that really sticks out? I've
got two, and I think these are really impactful. I mean, again, you have to remember, like I said at the beginning here, you know, sometimes I took it for granted, you know, being in the position that I was in, and I wasn't always mindful of the things that I would say or do sometimes. Totally not. You know, very innocent, nothing to it, but it can rub people the wrong way.
And sometimes that's all it takes. Is like even a word misspoken, or like
not properly saying hello or something.
Not the shaking of the hands. Like people don't realize like how slighted one person can be, that can cause you to go from having a great day to like out of the company within, you know.
Yeah, it's true, and I got some early lessons. So with Dusty, so they were filming his parts for, I think it was the Clash of Champions DVD. So they, you know, no training, they cleaned up the ring, the whole area, but they brought in a bunch of different cameramen and people to help with the recording, you know, because they're selling DVD. So So Dusty's there, he's doing his cuts, he's doing his takes, and they've got a big catering table there for everybody, and I'm grabbing food, and this random camera guy, they're not from the WWE, they're just, you know, freelancers, right, that they were paid and hired to do this.
Right.
And, you know, he starts talking to me, it's just him and I at the table. He's like, oh man, like, this Dusty Rhodes guy's really cool. Like, I had no idea who he was before I came here, but I can see how much charisma he's got. This is awesome. I'm thinking to myself, the hell, you don't know who Dusty Rhodes is? Like, Dusty's bigger than Elvis.
Yeah.
He always walks through the door just saying he's bigger than Elvis. You know, and he had the ego to match. God rest his soul, but it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
He is Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah.
So, innocently, you know, I go up to Dusty, he's in the production room taking a break, and I'm like, can you believe that jerk face in the back over there? Like, you know, he's laughing and saying that he didn't know anything about you, Dusty. You're a Hall of Famer. Like, you know, that's crazy. I had to tell that guy, like, well, it was right. Like, I said as a joke. Like, you know, like, look at that stupid idiot kid.
Yeah, yeah.
Dusty's like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Thought nothing of it. The next day, I'm in the production room. Dusty comes in. He's like, Russo, get out. Just get out, stay out, don't ever come back.
Wow.
Dusty, what did I do? Just get out. Shit. Okay. I mean, like, that was where I worked every day.
Yeah, yeah.
So at the end of the day, I go to Doc Pritchard, which, side note, of all the teachers I've had, all the many teachers, Doc has imparted the most wisdom I had ever gotten in my life. Okay. Another side plug, I always digress.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm Trump sometimes. For all of you out there trying to understand how the game works and how politics works, I got to recommend one book.
Yeah, yeah.
It's called The 48 Laws of Power.
Okay.
48 Laws of Power. In fact, a lot of these different things happen. Doc was like, pick up this book, read it, you will understand how to play the game. So I recommend that book. So anyways, Doc, amazing, amazing, amazing. So I went to him, I said, look, I got kicked out of the room. I have no idea what I did. Can you help me understand, like, where I messed up, like, what happened? So then Doc starts talking like Doc does. He's like, you remember what you said to Dusty yesterday? I was like, yeah. I mean, some guy said didn't know who the hell he was, and, you know, I laughed and had to tell him off. I had to tell Dusty because I just think it was so dumb. He goes, hey, how do you think that made Dusty feel? Again, Dusty, ego bigger than all of Florida.
Right.
I learned a very valuable lesson from Doc. And the piece of advice, you went back to the question, what one piece of advice could you have learned from Dusty? There's a phrase, there's a saying. You may not remember what he said, and you may not remember what he said, you may not remember what he did, but you'll always remember how he made you feel. Right. And for me, doesn't matter what I said, doesn't matter what I did, but what I said hurt Dusty. Right. And I learned my lesson that day. So you've always got to be careful what you say, what you don't say, how you say it, what you do. Right. Because there's always some, you might, you know, impact or influence someone. Right. So that was my big thing from Dusty. I think that's just like a great anecdote, a great story that really wisened me up to the business. Right. Made me really understand. Right. And otherwise, Jim Ross, I mean, all the things. Just everything about commentary, what you should say, what you should avoid saying, how you work it. Always have a thesaurus. And always look at every individual on a card and find 3 adjectives to describe each individual superstar on the card. Really? Positive adjectives for the baby face and negative ones for the heel. Okay. Always be able to tell, have an ability to tell the story. He was like, think of a match as a football game. When a guy is on the offense, whether it's the Shine or the Heat, when the guy is given it, that is your time to tell the story. That is your time to put over the characters, to talk about the story. When you see a turnover or a huge play for the end zone, it's like commentators. They stop talking about some story and they call the action, they show what happens. That's your opportunity to talk about what happens in a match. Okay. That's just one little thing. It taught me a whole lot of stuff. It's just a big repository of things. Those 2 Hall of Fame, I mean, Dusty, Jim Ross, I mean, man, what a great session. So now, whenever I have an opportunity to share that or to impart that or leverage that stuff, I always try to. Definitely.
Now you've been part of training within reality wrestling. You've been able to kind of be under Book's learning tree. Yeah. Any pearls of wisdom that he's passed along or that you've seen him pass along to someone that you just Because I think he sees it a lot differently than a lot of talent that I normally run into, as far as just how to tell a story. Like, you know, it's not about the moves, it's really just about what you do, you know, what you do, how you present yourself, more than, he's like, it's all about the story and the characters, I don't care really about anything else. But outside of that, is there anything that...
I mean, the way that Booker teaches is the same way that I learned from Afo when I trained with him and I finally got into the ring and, you know, bumped and learned and trained and wrestled. It's all the same stuff that the WWE teaches for TV. It is all about the story. It's about slowing down. That is the biggest trait that Book will talk about during his training sessions, is to think, slow down, and react. React. Don't, if you're overthinking things, you're not going to react to what you're doing to your opponent, what your opponent is doing to you.
Right.
You need to just react, and that involves slowing down and letting it come to you. The way that I describe professional wrestling to the trainees in there, wrestling is two things. It is all muscle memory, and it is a giant breathing exercise.
Right.
Not blowing up in the ring, you know, pacing yourself, and if you just put in the reps and you get the muscle memory, it just becomes that much easier to just remember how to breathe in the ring.
Right.
I mean, and it just echoes. I love the way that Book teaches, because, I mean, that is what the WWE want. They don't want to see a spot fest, boom, 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 one to the other. Tell a story, slow down. You know, we'll have training sessions where he'll be like, look, I'm going to give you 2 minutes, and I don't want you to go into a spot until a minute 30.
Okay.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
And it's all about the psychology. It's like what you just said. It's not about what you do with the moves. It's what you do in between. It's how you, and that's what it comes down to. So it's always a treat when Booker, after Monday and Tuesday doing the pre-shows, he comes in Wednesday or Thursday, he imparts that knowledge, you know, spends his time with us.
Yeah. And I mean, finally, I think, guys getting more notarized now is Bruce Pritchard. I mean, you know, for a while there, I consider one of the geniuses of our industry. You from character development, so on and so forth. But to have that guy backstage or in creative meetings or anything like that, is there anything that he's passed on to you, or things that you've seen, you know, kind of along the same lines, you know, just...
I don't think I have entered Bruce's sort of sphere yet. I think I'm still, you know, even though I've been around for 10 months or so, I don't think I've for whatever, and that's okay. I'm not upset about it. I mean, that's the way that I think he's still trying to learn maybe more about me. I mean, I think he knows at least who I am now. But but I'll always listen to stories that he's telling before the show. He's always chit-chatting with either Brad or Matt or somebody about just stories. And like his podcast that he just started. It's like already towards the top of the iTunes. I mean, it's good. And it's the stories where you can learn a couple of things from those stories. Oh, that's a good thing to take away and, you know, put in your trapper keeper up here. I would love nothing better than for Bruce to spend time and you know, critique me, or, you know, tell me what he sees and what would be good, you know, in his eyes, because the only thing better than one Pritchard helping me out would definitely be two Pritchards helping me out. So, but we got some real, I mean, between Booker, between Bruce, and the talents, the different, you know, legends that come into reality of wrestling, you're always learning something. Always learning something, you know, from those guys in the back. They're always imparting wisdom and knowledge. I'm hoping maybe one of these days Jim Ross comes by or something, a commentator, and really just kind of be good to see him again.
Speaking of the talent of reality wrestling, I'm always asked my opinion of guys or gals, talent that I see that could easily transition, whether it be to WWE or NXT. But, you know, you see them, I think you have a better view usually than I do. Backstage, you're usually ringside for a lot of that. Within all the talents.
Rex Andrews.
Rex is
Rex is 1, and Ryan Davidson is 1A.
Okay.
I mean, you know, I only know of Rex's older stuff from what I can find on YouTube.
Right.
When I joined, he had just come back, you know, just been repackaged, you know, coming back from India. This much more of a shooter guy.
Right.
And you have seen him completely transform the way that he fights. His strong style is a legitimate strong style.
Right.
I mean, it is a legitimate force where the aggression, A, the aggression,
right,
but B, the ability to do that safely,
right,
and C, to be able to put together a story
right,
with that stuff. Because it's one thing to just go in and again, when you think of strong style, you think of, you know, New Japan.
right.
I mean, those guys, boom, 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 back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You can tell a story.
Right.
And that, I think, is such a lethal combination when you can do that with the talent that he has and he shows. And then Ryan Davidson, I mean, I don't understand why this guy hasn't gotten a break yet somewhere.
Right.
The man can go. He's, you know, 240, 50 pounds, and the man goes.
Right.
And he can carry a match with a broomstick.
Correct.
And that is the absolute truth. I can't wait to see it on pay-per-view for $9.99 him against a broomstick. But I think that is just unbelievable talent between the two of them.
Right.
So, and it's not just the WWE. I mean, Japan, Puerto Rico.
Right.
Hell, you know, Lucha Underground damn sure wouldn't hurt to have a couple more strong style guys to add to that flavor of everything else that they have.
Right, right.
Love to see them somewhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Making money and forgetting about us little people. You know, when they go out.
Yeah. Now, you know, you watch all kinds of wrestling for the most part. For you personally, what style really connects with you? Is there...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So, I am a technical wrestling fanatic through and through.
Right.
Dean Malenko is my absolute favorite wrestler. In fact, hold on a second.
Right.
Just because I got this, I got to show this.
Okay.
This is one of 5 box sets that I have. I think we're too far away here, but this is like the complete Dean Malenko collection, like part 2, totally bootleg. But I love his stuff. There's something so awesome about technical wrestling that just a whole match. So with that said, my favorite wrestling of all-star wrestling.
Really?
All-star wrestling. There's just something about because that involves intelligence, you know, with that level of technical wrestling in that ring. You know, a great story that's connected with that. So in FCW, one of the main event matches we had in a house show was between Bo Dallas and Cesaro in a no ropes match. So they actually took off all the turnbuckles, and on top of pinfall submission, if you were pushed off the ring, out of the ring, you lose.
Yeah, yeah.
Because so often, you know, people will use the turnbuckles or the ropes as a crutch to the next thing.
Right.
I say, and it was an unbelievable match, of course, but I say that because in All-Star Wrestling, they would use the ropes not very often, barely at all. It was just all in the center of the ring. It was a lot of holds, but just how beautiful it looked, them moving from hold to hold, reversal, reversal to reversal. To me, All-Star Wrestling is unbelievable. And then you have someone like Norman Smiley down at NXT who knows every hold and every reversal to every hold. To have that opportunity to be in the ring with him and learn from him as well in the evening classes, like that was just the All-Star Wrestling brought to life. And that was awesome. So to me, that is my absolute favorite wrestling to watch is old, just all-star wrestling. I mean, it's just, man, those guys are fun.
Yeah, yeah. Now you say you've, you know, really started with the Attitude Era, Monday Night Wars. How do you see the current product comparing to that? Are you more or less of a fan of you know, I've always been a subscriber of less is more in the ring, more entertainment, more character, more storyline. But with the advent of video game wrestling and kind of spot stuff that's kind of become the norm, where it used to only be WrestleMania where guys would kick out of finishers, and now it's an every Monday occurrence, so to speak. So how does it resonate with you, you know, the current stuff?
Well, we've kind of, thankfully, we've been able to push back a little bit,
right?
Which has been great, because you can only have, I mean, when you think of the Attitude Era and those TLC matches and all those things, you know, the ECW hardcore matches and, you know, what CZW still does, you know, you look at those things, and Paul is the biggest believer, is like, look, less is more, story is a story. What I've seen over the last, you know, 5, 6, 7 years is this slow, finally pushback where people aren't bloodlusting for a bigger, death-defying spot.
Right.
Because you can only push the envelope so far, and it's like what they say with you know people that are addicted to drugs or alcohol. It's like, you know, you take one, and then that looks great, feels great, but now I need 2, and then I need 3, and then I need 4, because it doesn't give you the same sort of rush. You can only do so many of those before just someone kills themselves. So the current product, you know, it is very flashy, it's very entertaining. That is the way of the future. It is all about entertainment. In fact, a lot of these sports organizations could learn a thing or two about the entertainment aspect of it. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. You know, people will moan and complain about it, but I'm fine with it. But it just means that the people in those big products don't need to know as much about wrestling as they need to do being a relatable character, or likable / hateable, just a character that people will latch onto. It's more important than ever. And you know, you look at talent in locker rooms in indies all over the country, man, there are more great wrestlers than ever before. Ever before. That can do anything. But that doesn't mean jack squat anymore, because it's all about how can you relate to the layman, the casual fan, the person that flips through the channels. Wrestling can only hold them for so long. And if more people thought, because I always look at wrestling, I always look at entertainment like this, that you got to appeal to the masses, the casual fan. The hardcore fan that moans and complains on the dirt sheets and cries for the Attitude Era is still going to tune into Monday Night Raw every week. You got to think about the channel flippers. I mean, I like MMA. I enjoy watching it, but I still consider myself a casual fan. You know, I only know the bigger names because of how they're being pushed and promoted. And you look at like Conor McGregor. People really wanted to tune in because this guy was a loudmouth, brash son of a gun. So it's the same thing in wrestling. The casual fan that's flipping, a 10-year-old flipping through channels that locked in and watched the Hollywood Hogan promo in the middle of the ring with the NWO. That's what you got to try to get to. So to me, I'm okay with the product being how it is, because this is society now. We have 8-second attention. How long is a Vine? 6 seconds? 6-second attention spans now. So what are you going to do in those 6 seconds to capture somebody's attention? You can only do so many flips in one show.
NXT's success. I mean, you were part of it at the very beginning. What's it like to tune into the product now and see what it's in essence become?
It's great. I mean, the fans even back then were just as rowdy and ECW-ish as they are today. And I say that with all the respect in the world to ECW, but you know, those guys, they take that, the fans take that very seriously. Like they are very protective of their house. They really appreciate the fact that there is this program on that focuses on wrestling. And there is a large following that wants that. They don't want the entertainment portion that we were just talking about. And that's what NXT provides. And I think what NXT is giving people is a great springboard and an opportunity for them to succeed. I think it's a hell of a strategy by Triple H to sign these guys, these named guys from around the world, if nothing else, to just stash away that talent and prevent them from working wherever they were before. And then what that does, though, is that, you know, that's a good and a bad. You're going to see great talent that you remember seeing at ROH or Lucha or Japan or England or whatever. But there's a lot of hungry young talent there that are still looking for their break and their opportunity that have to wait their turn, and it's a waiting game. You know, there's over 90, 80, 90, 100 guys down there at the PC. And they're just waiting for the opportunity. And here comes Roderick Strong, and here comes Eric Young, and here comes Bobby Roode. No disrespect. Hey, they got their spot, they earned it, they deserve it. And that means that those young bucks have to work that much harder to get recognized. But, I mean, that's where we are. So NXT is this weird confluence now. It's interesting to watch because you've got these guys like Samoa Joe and Shinsuke. But then on the other hand, you got, you know, people like, you know, Brennan Williams, for example. You know, my really good friend from Orlando, Noah Poches. I mean, I see them now. They're starting to get some opportunities, but, you know, there's just not enough time for all 80, 90 of these guys to you know, get their time to shine. So I just love it that they get to practice and they get to make mistakes and they get to do this in a way to put them in a prime position to succeed if and when they make it to you know, the main roster. I like it.
I mean, you know, obviously you've been in the industry a bit, and you've also gotten to work with some great minds. And learn a variety of lessons. What would you say, you know, from somewhat not necessarily outside, because obviously you're within the industry, but like for talent that's trying to become a wrestler and trying to get to NXT or to WWE. What do you feel might be, and I know it's hard to be critical of anyone, but what do you feel like would be a common mistake a lot of talent makes, you know, that may prevent them from getting to the next?
So, to me, it's the two biggest things that I see from talent that they're really lacking is, number one, working on their bodies in the gym, and number two, not creating and or recreating themselves from a character perspective. It is all about character. And yeah, they work on that down at the Performance Center, but again, you put yourself at a much better advantage if you have created something that people are already talking about you. They're buzzing about you, whether it's on the internet boards, whether it's on social media, whether it's whatever. People still think, man, if I go out there and put on a 5-star wrestling match, I will be signed. Probably, possibly. But to me, if you can put on a 4-star match and you can cut a 4-star promo, I think you're going to be in a much better spot overall. So when you, that to me, those two things, I would absolutely tell people, and it's the same things that I hear, and it's not me saying this, this is what I hear from the people that I have worked with that were in those positions of power. Control the things that you can control. Control the things that you can control. That's your body, that's your creativity for your character, that's your, you know, those traits about, you know, always being on time, working hard, putting in the extra effort, being available to set up, take down the ring. I mean, all that stuff that you can control. Don't ever, the name of the game is do not ever give the WWE or TNA or any other organization a reason to not hire you. They might not hire you because, you know what, they're just not looking for someone like you right now. But that should be the only reason, not, well, I wanted to bring him in, but, you know, he was 5 minutes late. I wanted to bring him in, but, you know, man, like, he really needs to lose like another 10, 15 pounds. And you'll never know that. You'll never know that reason. They'll never tell you, man, if only you lost 10 pounds, we would have hired you. No, they'll never tell you that. But don't give them that reason to do that. Oh, and don't burn any bridges. Do not burn any bridges. Whatever you do, no matter how much you might not like a guy in a locker room or whatever feelings you may have towards certain people in his business, it's a big cycle, and you'll never know who you'll end up working for or who ends up working for you.
Right.
in this business.
Right.
So always be kind and always speak well of people, not ill of people.
Well, man, it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, this is fun talking shop, man.
Yeah, man.
This is, I love what you're doing. I mean, look, we were just talking about sponsorship. Why are you not sponsoring this show already? Let's get some money coming in here so I can be on this again and we can all get paid. Come on, man. No, this is good stuff, man. This has been a lot of fun just kind of sitting back. I haven't really told many of these stories.
Yeah,
so thanks for this opportunity.
No, man, and next time we'll have to talk about some, some of the least known stories that,
I got stories for days.
Yeah, we'll just have a story time with Chris Russo.
Hey, have stories, we'll travel. If anybody else wants to bring me on board, man. But no, this was a lot of fun, Steve. Thank you so much, man.
Appreciate that.
Thanks.